All right, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. I am here with the SSL Family Mom, and we have kind of a channel update or announcement to fill you in and get you guys up to date on what's going on around here. If you have been following on with the channel and you've maybe noticed that there have not been any videos out in the last almost 2 weeks now, I wanted to explain what is going on and why that is the case. If you've been following us on social media, Instagram or Facebook, you probably have the general idea of what happened and are probably in the loop with that. So I guess that's a plug. If you want to stay up to date, a lot of times on things that happen around here that we don't always shoot videos on, the SSL Family Mom does a lot of work on the social media channels, Instagram and Facebook especially, and kind of keeping up things, more day to day and behind the scenes. But so you may notice that I am in a leg brace, and you can't see too much of it, but my leg is in a brace and wrapped. Basically what happened was we had one of our pigs, George, attacked me basically, and nearly killed me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty eventful that day.
Yeah. Pretty close to killing me. I was very lucky, and praise God that things didn't go worse. Basically what happened was I was moving some of the boars around. I was actually in the middle of shooting a video for you guys, moving our animals around.
Not your fault.
And I had moved some of our younger boars in a pasture that was very nearby to George, our oldest American guinea hog boar. And they were very agitated with each other. They were running the fence lines and wanting to fight each other, and they were very agitated. There was a whole dominance and territorial thing going on. And in that whole thing, they had knocked the electric fence loose, and it wasn't working. And I wanted to make sure that that was working because I didn't want them busting through to each other and hurting each other or something else. So I jumped in the pasture to fix the electric fence, the wire that had come apart, and I made sure that George was, on the other end of the pasture and everything. As I was bent down to fix that with my back to the pasture, he came up on me fast, and he charged me basically. As soon as I turned around and stood up, he charged at me, hooked me right in the back of the leg with one of his tusks, knocked me on the ground, and continued to come at me as I was kicking him off. And I just jumped over the fence. I was right next to the fence, and I jumped out and got there. And as soon as I, got over that fence, I knew that the injury was pretty bad because I could feel blood just rush down my leg. And I kind of, I guess you could say, hobbled. I wouldn't call it a run. Hobbled as quickly as I could back to the house because I knew I was bleeding bad. And basically freaked everyone out in the house.
Yeah. The girls were home.
Yep.
They actually answered the back door.
And you were home.
Yeah.
And I opened the back door on our back patio, screaming that I needed help and to call an ambulance, or I said I needed to go to the hospital or something like that.
Yeah. I think your words were, "George got me."
Yes.
That's what you said.
George got me.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was ripping my pants off, ripping my boots off, getting my belt out, getting ready to apply a tourniquet, trying to stop the bleeding. I called 911 on my phone at the same time you did.
Yeah.
And I was trying to, just get them here as soon as possible. We live in the middle of nowhere, and I was pretty certain that I had hit the artery, and that the way I was bleeding, I was pretty sure I had hit the main artery in my leg. And at that point, I kind of thought that I wasn't going to make it. I mean, the amount of time it takes the ambulance to get here and the distance to the hospital was, and the way I was bleeding at the time, I really didn't think that I was going to make it at one point. But we were able to get through to 911. Thank God you were home and able to get me towels to quickly stop the bleeding. I tried to stop the bleeding with my hand, but the wound was so big that my hand wouldn't cover it, and just kind of went in, and I wasn't able to stop the bleeding that way. And you got me towels, and
you were taking the advice of the 911 operator. Before he applied a tourniquet, they advised him to elevate his leg, which he did in a planter right on our back porch, and blood everywhere. He was losing, he was getting very weak, kind of almost losing consciousness. Our daughters were there the whole time. Our middle daughter was flagging down the ambulance at the end of the driveway. That's when our neighbor came over. Perfect timing to help him apply pressure to his leg. He was growing really weak. And the ambulance got here quicker than we
Had to
ever
be under
anticipated.
10 minutes. I mean,
yeah.
it was maybe 7 or 8 minutes.
Probably, yeah.
And which blew me away because I thought I was going to be laying there for a long time.
Felt like a long time.
It did, and it felt like they weren't moving very fast, but they were. I promise you, they were great.
Yeah.
But when you're in a situation like that, it seems like no one's moving fast enough.
Yeah.
But when they got here, I had not applied the tourniquet at the advice of the 911 operator, and I know from the military that once you apply a tourniquet, the chances of you keeping your limb are pretty slim unless you get it off. And so I was very hesitant to apply that. I was able to control the bleeding. I mean, it was still bleeding, but it wasn't too bad with the towels. I felt like
we were all covered in blood, so
there was a lot of blood.
There was a lot of blood.
It definitely. Got to the hospital. Paramedics took us to the hospital, and you rode in the ambulance with me. They applied a tourniquet as soon as they got here. And so they put a tourniquet on and cut the circulation off to my leg. They put it on just above the knee. At that point, I really was concerned that I was going to lose my leg. I mean, I was pretty shaken up in the ambulance for sure.
Because of his military training, combat lifesaver training, he knew a lot more about what was going on or could have potentially been going on with his leg and the loss of the blood. I thought we were going to get stitches, and ignorance is bliss. So I was kind of the cheerleader. You're going to be fine, honey. I mean, he is fine, but right. So I was fortunate, but I also a little unsure of what was going on for sure.
Hospital, it was about a 20-minute drive or so, maybe 25 minutes. So you get to the hospital, and tourniquet was still on. Pain started getting really worse. If you don't know about a tourniquet, it cuts the circulation off completely to that limb so you don't bleed to death. But in doing that, you kill the limb, and you really have to be careful with the amount of time that you have a tourniquet on. And so that was our biggest concern. But got to the hospital, the MSU trauma team was there and waiting for me. It was like a whole row of people. And they acted pretty quickly, got me some pain medication, and figured out what was going on. And antibiotics because it was dirty pig mouth, feces and whatever else is in there. And I mean, I wasn't in the ER too long, maybe 10 minutes.
No, they were waiting for us. The ambulance had called ahead. They sat me down in a chair in the hallway. Everyone was asking me where we were in the wilderness when we encountered this wild animal. I told them it was our George that we raised from a piglet, scratched his back, They
thought we were out hunting wild boar somewhere.
Right.
Or something.
I think they called you a Texas rancher at one time. And I thought, why would we drive all the way up to Michigan for medical care? Right. And the surgeon came out right away in minutes after evaluating his leg and said, we don't know what we're getting into. We can't take the tourniquet off until he's under anesthesia. So he also talked about vascular repair, about an artery repair.
Yep, they had still thought that the artery was severed at that point as well.
Yeah, so I said goodbye to him. His leg was looking really, really awful. I mean, it was a color that skin should never be. It was pretty bad. And he kept looking down at it, and I just said, don't look at it.
It was getting pretty scary. And the pain was so bad at that point. Yeah. The tourniquet and the pain from that leg being cut off from circulation was so unbearable. They kept giving me these shots of something that was helping a little bit, but they rushed me back pretty quickly and did an emergency surgery. And what basically the extent of the damage was there's about a 12-inch cut from below my knee up to into my thigh, behind the leg, and he cut up my hamstring muscle pretty bad, and all the things in there, whatever, muscles and connectors and all that stuff. But the tendon was not cut, and neither was the artery. Praise God. So here I am. I spent a couple days in the hospital, and I've been ordered to basically stay off the leg, and I've been sitting down here a lot.
Yeah.
Netflix a lot. She's been taking care of everything. My girls have stepped up, and they're out taking care of chores and all these animals. George is not here with us anymore. We had to have him put down. Unfortunately, we weren't able to save the meat. In the rush of the situation and everything that was happening, he was dangerous.
Yeah.
And my kids were here, and I just I had to have somebody come put him down while I was in the hospital. We just couldn't have him here, so
it was a really tough decision.
it was.
It's not that we wanted an animal like that around us, but just the whole experience, we cared for him, and he was the boar that was going to father all of the piglets here on our farm. And so we kind of established a relationship with him. I didn't get close to him. The girls, us girls were not around George ever in his pen, but we would talk to him, feed him.
We've had him since he was 8 weeks old.
Yeah, I mean, we really do care for our animals, and this was really tough. And our neighbor actually put him down for us, and that was a very difficult day, even for him as well. It's not fun to have to make this decision. So, just in the midst of all of this, of Todd's extensive damage to his leg, it wasn't fun.
So at this point, we are. I wanted to let you guys know. I know people have been asking. I think this is the first time in 5 years that we've had this YouTube channel that I have not done a video in more than 5 days. I know I've been keeping some people up to date. If you have rung the bell on YouTube and you have those notifications enabled, I did send out messages through that YouTube system as well as on social media to try to let people know what's going on. All right, so what does this mean for the YouTube channel? Well, nothing will change. We'll get back to cranking out videos here shortly. I will have at least one more video that will be coming out this week, and we'll get back into the normal grind of things and start pumping those videos out. We've got lots of stuff to share. I feel like if we got bottled up things now to videotape, we may even have to do some like farm safety videos or talk about like emergency response or something like that. I mean, this has made us think about all kinds of stuff that I never thought about. We're also I'm gonna kind of recap this whole incident. I'm gonna try to get a copy of the 911 call and kind of put together an interview with the kids and with all of us together and really kind of replay this event for you guys. I wanted to videotape during this. I tried to.
He actually asked me to.
I wanted to videotape in the ambulance, but it just wasn't the time. No. And you want to videotape and share every part of everything, but I was really. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, and I as much as I wanted to videotape everything, it's hard to do sometimes. So don't forget to check us out on social media. Facebook and Instagram is where we're most active, and you can find out, follow a lot of things over there. So look forward to lots more farming videos and good stuff coming out, tool videos and all the same stuff that we had planned. It just got delayed a little bit, but we'll get back to work here. I will heal this leg as quickly as I can and get back to work out in the field. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.